Hey guys, what's up? It's Casual Yu-Gi-Oh here. Today I'm coming at you guys today with my agent deck profile for April of 2020. This deck's gone through a little bit of change. The last time I uploaded, I think, was like summer of 2018 with agents. I went back to kind of a strategy that I used in 2017, and there's a reason why I have Shine Balls here as the main cover part of the deck because they're the most important. They're the most powerful card in this deck. Not even joking. I'll show you here in a second. All right, let's get into it. And by the way, yes, I'm doing this with just my phone, so I'm holding it, so I apologize if the camera is unsteady. So 3 Mystical Shine Balls, gotta have the hollow. Like I said, Shine Ball, without the Shine Balls, the Agent deck just doesn't really, I feel like it doesn't really have a purpose, because that's kind of your big play that you have that other decks don't have, is being able to summon one monster that can summon you 3 from the deck. So that's really important, and Shine Ball is kind of, like I said, how you get most of your plays. Um, Triple Agent of Mystery Earth. This card has one of the most beautiful artworks ever. I would put this in my top 5 to 10 artworks, I think, ever. This is, in my opinion, like perfect design for a card. When you have a tuner for an archetype, like the fact that it's not just like, oh, I can just freely special myself, because that's really lazy, I think, when Konami just makes cards that just freely special themselves. It's a little too easy. I like that this is a normal summon, lets you search any agent you want, and then obviously if you have Sanctuary in the Sky, you can search Master Hyperion. Most of the time, you're not searching Hyperion. Most of the time, you're probably searching the next card that I'm about to show. You like Hyperion's one of those things, like he can get you out of a situation, and he's a great card. In my opinion, he's a great boss monster. But a lot of times, you kind of need your combos to start going off first. So that's why you would search other stuff. But definitely a 3 of, obviously. Next 3 of Agent of Creation Venus. I remember when I first picked up this deck, like, I don't know, like the end of 2015, early 2016, you would see some deck profiles where people were only playing 2 Venus, and it didn't make any sense to me, because I'm like, you want to see this card like as much as possible, because you want to make sure that you can get your Shine Balls out. I mean, that's a big thing, and if you don't have to search this card, that kind of like saves you some time and some resources. Obviously, what it does, pay 500 to summon a Shine Ball from your hand or deck. You don't really care about having to pay the life points. That's okay generally, although the life points kind of matter with the way I built this deck. But yeah, definitely three Venus, kind of how you get your plays going with the Shine Balls. Look at these ultis. They look beautiful. 3 Herald of Heavens, right, is Herald of Heaven. So all he does is discard to search Sanctuary in the Sky from deck to hand, or field spell. And then if Sanctuary in the Sky is not on the field and he's on the field, he dies, but that's okay. So I'll show the ratios, but like, I only play 2 Sanctuary, and I've gotten a little bit of flack about that, but in my opinion, you'd rather have more of these guys in your deck than more Sanctuaries, because the Sanctuary, if you draw a duplicate, it doesn't do anything to you. If I draw a duplicate of these 2 in my hand, I can discard one, and then if I had to, I could summon the other one. Plus, the more fairies in your hand, the better. If you play Agent decks in the past, you know what I mean by that. But yeah, 3 of him. He's a beautiful card. Uh, 3 Agent of Entropy Uranus. So Uranus is, in my opinion, he was great support, but sadly this is the last agent card that agents have gotten, and I don't count, like, 1, I don't count links, and 2, I don't count that Parsath card that's a link monster that just says like you can do stuff with Sanctuary in the Sky. Like, cool. Like, sorry, but like, Konami, like, give us, there's 2 agents you haven't printed. You haven't printed Neptune, you haven't printed Pluto, and yes, Pluto's a planet again. If you could print those, that would be great. But so what he does is, if Sanctuary is on the field, you can special summon from your hand, and then once per turn, he can dump an agent from your deck to the graveyard, and then whatever that monster's level is, his level becomes that. And that's not just for the turn, that's just until you decide to do his effect again or whatever. Uh, Occasionally I've had to dump a Uranus in my graveyard just to kind of like, because I didn't care to draw another one, but I think he's great support. He was kind of extra stuff for what the deck needed. And yeah, I love his artwork and everything like that. But I think he's a 3 of, because we are playing the Sanctuary heavy build. So because you're running more Sanctuaries, you do need it. By the way, I'm not playing Valhallas and Hecatrices. I used to try that, and then recently I took it out. I've kind of gone away from it. It's just, I don't know. Like, the thing that sucks about that is, like, if you draw Earth and you have Valhalla, like, special summon the Earth doesn't get you anything. So it's like you generally would want a big card, but most of these big guys in your hand, you can summon them like off their own effects, and that's why I just don't. It's probably not that good anymore. 3 Master Hyperion. I think if you are running agents, you do. It kills me like how people could run agents and not run Master Hyperion. Like, oh my gosh, he's so hard to get out. All you gotta do is banish an agent from hand or graveyard, or sorry, hand, field, or graveyard. He's really, like, that's a great card. this is what Yu-Gi-Oh! Boss Monsters should be, and then obviously Konami's taken it way too far by giving everything protection from everything and then can instantly negate everything. Um, it's kind of ridiculous. I think he's perfect for that. I love boss monsters that deal with like removing stuff from the graveyard that's part of the archetype to pop stuff. Those are honestly kind of like my favorite boss monsters in the game. And like I said, in my opinion, he's the perfect boss monster. So his effect is, like I said, you can special summon it by removing an agent from hand, field, graveyard, and then once per turn, you can remove a light fairy from your graveyard to pop something. And then if Sanctuary's in the field, you can do that effect twice. We kind of do want to fuel our graveyards, which is why I've kind of changed the deck slightly. But Master Hyperion, great boss monster, 3 of. Next 3 of, which I just upgraded the rarity not too long ago, 3 secret rare Archlord Christias. My buddy Chase would be proud. Chase has been featured on the channel before, although he'd be a little upset because they're not first ed, but whatever. Yeah, these things were not cheap. These things cost a pretty penny, but I don't want to get rid of them. They're just too awesome. So Christia, obviously, like everyone hates you if you play Christia because of what it does to them. It locks them out. Neither player can special summon while it's on the field. But in my opinion, Christia is like, if you're running agents, I think you have to run Christia. If you're running a fairy deck in general, you should run Christia because, I mean, unless you're running a like super control deck, this is your control. This is the stuff you can actually do to kind of keep the game in your favor, where you're not having to OTK them immediately. You can do this, and then obviously you'll probably kill them the next turn. But yeah, Christia, with how easily we can put 4 fairies in our graveyard, then also manipulate our graveyard, he's a definite 3 of. I run 2 honest. You could run 3 if you really want to, but it does get a little bricky when you're needing to do a play and you just have the honest in your hand. This, I mean, that's the whole name, the point of the card, the name of the card. It keeps your opponent honest, so that they can't just assume that they're on. Like they kind of have to worry about it, you know, that it's in your hand. And the cool thing about Christie is you can add this card back. We also have another way of adding this card back using the shine balls. I play 1 orange light, and then I play 1 Herald of Green Light. So the orange light, you can discard it and another fairy from your hand to negate a monster effect and destroy the monster. And green light does that with spell cards. I've never seen anyone run the purple light one for traps because most of the time if your opponent's playing a counter trap, your purple light can't even respond to it. But I think this is the proper ratio. I know like for a long time it was 2 orange lights and that's the main thing you would do. But I do think the green light, being able to stop your opponent's like big spell that they're probably going to be using first turn is really nice. You know, if you're worried about a board wipe or whatever, green light's good. And like I said, any fairy that we have in our graveyard, we have a way of getting back into our hand with Christia. Oh yeah, orange light's a tuner. I don't remember the last time I ever synchroed with it. So I am playing the 1 Agent of Judgment Saturn. So yes, because we're playing Sanctuary, this effect is something you can use. And by the way, the effect is if your life points are higher than your opponent's while you have Sanctuary in the field, you can trib this card to inflict the difference between your life points and your opponent's as damage. So like, you know, if let's say like I have like 7,000 and my opponent has 3,000, then I can do 4,000 burn damage to them by tribbing this thing. While that's like a cool thing, I like it as like an upside of like, hey, you could do that if like your opponent, let's say like you're going up against a hero play and they play a hero lives and they're like, I don't care about my life points. That's something you could do. And like I said, this card's pretty easy to get out with some cards that I play. Another reason that I like it is, yes, it's an agent, and that's kind of the reason I like it. I can dump it from deck to grave to make Uranus a level 6, which I like, which I'll go into stuff you can make with that. I play 1 Athena. This is, with the cards that we play in here, you can get this card out before you start your big combo, and then it can burn your opponent for 600 for every fairy that's summoned. So that's really good. And it also has the other effect of you can send a fairy from your the fairy you control to the graveyard, except this to special summon a fairy from your graveyard, and that's really nice because of like how we can get stuff in the graveyard. And Recurgence is really good, and that's more burn damage. Plus, this card looks beautiful. But yeah, they need more cards, I would say. I mean, I think they've done a good job of making fairy support cards like for a long time. I think really what they need to do is just, like I said, finish the agents out. Okay, so I play these guys. These are kind of the new but oldie that I used to use, and I put them back in here. So get a good look at those. So the reason I put these back in here is because all it takes to special summon these is send 3 monsters that you control to the graveyard. Obviously, hello, shine balls. Like, we can easily get the shine balls out. You don't always have to use them for XYZ or synchro plays. This is something you can do. And then there's another card, the next card that I'll show, that easily can get them back out. Screw it, I'll just show it right now. Tri-Whites. Tri-Whites, you can target 3 level 2 or lower normal monsters in your graveyard and special summon them. And that's it. And so, like, you could easily go into a synchro play, whatever, and then go into Tri-White, so you can send them off with that. or vice versa. If you summon this thing first, you could then go into Tri-White and then get your stuff back for other plays. So these are both good. I like just running one of each. That way it's not really bricky. The chances of you drawing both these in a hand, slim to none. Even if you did, you might be able to summon both of them. Who knows? So the light ruler, so each of these Arcana monsters, when they're summoned, you flip a coin, and then depending on if it's heads or tails, they get an effect. So his heads is if he kills something by battle, you can add a card from your graveyard to your hand. I've shown many times how many cards we would want back in our hand, like, a Herald card, an Honest, maybe a Christia, Hyperion, something like that. And then the tails is when a spell trap or effect monster's effect that targets this card is activated, you can negate that, destroy the card, and then he'll lose 1,000 attack. I think this one is slightly better, the Dark Ruler. If it's heads, he can attack twice, which is really nice. He's got 4,000, and there's no restrictions on what he can attack. And then at the end of the battle phase, he gets switched to defense, then he has to stay there for a whole turn. And then tails, if he's destroyed, destroy all cards in the field. Both of those effects are not really that bad for me. I don't care about that, but these cards upside, that's what I'm saying, is the upside of these cards is so good, and that's why I think that they're important to play. They're level 10s. I mean, I don't know, you could play a rank 10, something in here, maybe with Time Lords or something like that, but I'm not really a fan of the Time Lords. Even the old school ones are eh. So like I said, 3 Tri-Whites, new but old stuff that I put in here. I think this will actually help the deck a lot. I've tested it a little bit, and I think it does work because of how often, your main play is the Shine Ball play. So, if you're not getting that, generally, you probably either lost, whatever. If I draw this card and, I didn't get the Shine Balls, that's more of a fault on me for not getting the Venus play, which you have ways of kind of, searching for that. I play 2 Celestial Transformation. If anything, I would say, maybe bump this to 3. Since we lost Brilliant Fusion, which I'm fine with, Brilliant Fusion had its time, and, it kind of was getting old, but it was really helpful for agents. I'm not even talking about the additional normal summon that much, but just the level 5 fairy, the fact that Seraphonite, if you would do a synchro play, would count as the fairy in your graveyard, so you could use Christia. But since we lost that, you Celestial Transformation, and you're hoping that you normal summon Earth. Earth and this equal the whole combo where you can do Trish and stuff like that. But with the Celestial Transformations, you have a whole lot of other things you could do. You could set this card, and then on your opponent's turn, you could disrupt them and just summon Christia. And yeah, its attack is halved, but you could summon it in defense and then just shut off their plays for a whole turn. But the main another reason that I play this is because that Athena card, you could summon it that way. Any of the other agents that you would draw that are maybe high level, if you didn't have Sanctuary, you could summon this. Hyperion, if you had to, you could summon this. So I think Celestial Transformation just has so much upside because there's so many different things you could do with it. I think that's why it should be run at least 2. Because like I said, if you can't get your Earth-Venus combo, then it's not that good. You could do Photon leads, but Celestial Transformation has a higher ceiling because you're not restricting yourself to just level 4 or lower. And as far as the attack getting cut in half, you don't really care. So the field spell, I think I already said it. 2 Sanctuary in the Sky. You could run this at 3, but I mean, you don't really need to because like I said, because of the Herald of Heavens, I'm playing 5 copies of this card. And I do think the Sanctuary build is better than the Valhalla build. I do think that running Sanctuary works better. Agents, there's more cards that give you benefit off running Sanctuary than anything that would give you benefit off doing Valhalla. Because Valhalla can backfire on your face. Photon Boosters. This is a card I just found recently in the last couple months. I don't know why I never knew this card existed. Target a face-up level 4 lower monster in the field, a Shine Ball, and then all face-up monsters in the field with its name become 2,000. So you could turn your 1 Shine Ball... Your Shine Balls that would normally, if you attacked with all of them, that'd be 1,500 damage. You could turn that into 6,000 damage. So I think it's worth running as a one of. If, let's say your opponent, they had their field kind of wide open, and you're or if you had one monster that's defending, you literally could be okay, well now with this I can OTK because I got 3 2,000 attackers, and that's just the Shine Balls, not counting what else I can make. Lastly, for the main deck, I run 3 Divine Punishments. I used to try to run the deck as just pure OTK, but honestly, I don't think this card really slows you down that much. And like I said, because you get Sanctuary so often, this is just another incentive to play Sanctuary. It's a free Solemn Judgment, as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't stop summons. I suppose it's not a Solemn Judgment, but Spell Trap or Monster Effect it can negate while you have Sanctuary, and that's it. And like I said, I like that there's no cost. I don't have to pay anything. I don't have to get rid of any cards. This is just a 1-card thing to stop whatever my opponent's trying to do. And it keeps them honest. And my opponent can't always assume that it's Divine Punishment because I could be setting Celestial Transformation maybe. So could be one of 2 things. Let's get to the extra deck. The extra deck is pretty loosey-goosey, I would say. There's only a handful of cards that I would be if you don't run that card in Agents, you're an idiot. Once again, I think you guys know where I stand with links. I don't play them, and now that we're in Master Rule 5, I don't have to play them, and this frees up this deck to do so many more original plays than just link spam shit. So you're not really going to go into, like, you could play a level 5 synchro if you want, but like that's kind of a, I just don't think that's a good play with agents. I think you just, if you got the Venus and you got the Earth, you probably should sync those with shine balls or whatever, as opposed to just sitting on the just the Venus and Earth sync together. So I got Ancient Sacred Wyvern, like I said, because life points kind of matter in this deck, or at least that's what I'm trying to do with it a little bit. If you have more life points than your opponent, he gains attack points equal to the difference, and then if he's blown up, you can pay 1,000 special summon him back. Light Fairy, that's something cool, I guess. Don't really ever get him out, though, that much. Michael is something you get out more often. You can sync your Uranus with Shine Ball and get him out. The Ancient Sacred Wyvern does require a Light Tuner, so you wouldn't be able to get that out with that. But you can pay 1,000 and then target a card in the field, banish it. It's good. So the ulti Thought Ruler Archfiend, with Thought Ruler, the idea was basically you can go into 8-star synchros pretty easily, and if I had the Saturn in my hand, I could kill monster by battle, gain life points, and then I'd probably be able to get that effect off most likely. It's just an option. I mean, it's just one extra slot. Like I said, Agents isn't too packed for, you're not too tight on room. Void Ogre, if you found yourself, because Agents can unload the hand pretty easily. If you found that you didn't have a hand and you could do the Uranus play, sync with like a Venus or something like that, you can make this. And, I mean, I play a Beals as well. Require Dark Tuner, you can do that with Uranus. And like I said, if you have to dump Saturn, and then you can sync with a Shine Ball to make these, it's easy. For the 9s, I play 1 Mistworm, 1 Trish, the only 9s that I think you should play. Trish, if you're going first, or if your opponent has the right like field setup where they got something engraved, something on field, and then something in the hand. But if they got a lot of stuff on the field that you're like, I need to get rid of all that, Mistworm's a good option. Like I said, you can run them both because you're not tight on space. So I'd say like the newest addition to the extra deck, Time Lord, what is it? I don't even know his name. Progenitor, Warpgate, whatever. Don't judge me for not knowing how to say that. So he's a generic 10. He's a fairy, which is nice, but the main reason why I like him, he can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. You take no battle damage when he attacks, like when he battles at all. And then if he was special summoned from the extra deck and he battles, you can banish all monsters your opponent controls and then return them and halve the battle damage your opponent takes. Okay, so, then at the end phase, special summon all the monsters that were banished this way. The cool thing, and the only reason why I play this card, a lot of people in Agents, I see they run 10-star synchros, and that's in case you get Earth and Master Hyperion. So I never really go into that play. Normally, if I have the option for that, I either won or lost already, and the 10-star doesn't make a difference. But the reason why this is good is if you have a Christie in your hand, you could do this effect. Like, say if your opponent's monsters were hard as hell to like get over, where like they had so many immunities and stuff. You attack with this, banish all their stuff, and then main phase 2, drop a Christia, and then their monsters are not going to special summon back because this does say they special summon at the end phase, and because it has that that part in there, they're not going to be able to do that with the Christia. So you can literally just wipe their board and then be like, yeah, I'm good. So I think that's a really good play. It's just an option, and like I said, it's a fairy. That's nice. So for the XYZs, the rank 2s, a Gotchi, which I didn't always run, but Gotchi's a good card, and I don't know, it could protect you and buff your stuff in crucial situations. Pure Light, thank you, Danny Brooks, one of my friends. He told me I'm an idiot for not running this card. He was right. Pure Light just gives you so many good things. It's not as good as it used to be because you don't have Brilliant Fusion anymore. There used to be a really cool thing that you could do with Brilliant Fusion, dump any light monster you want, and then with Pure Light, with the Shine Balls, you could just put it in your hand. Daigusto Phoenix to attack twice. He's the best. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he's the best rank 2 that you go in the most often in this deck because you're trying to OTK for game. Cool little thing you can do is you can do Mistworm and Daigusto, and then you can have your Mistworm attack twice because it's a wind. You got the 1, Cursed Javelin. He's a really good rank 2. He can detach to target a monster and then negate its effects and change the attack to 0. That's really good. Like I said, more versatility for the deck. Sky Calv, if your opponent's got something that is wrecking you, but it doesn't have a whole lot of popping power, you can just put this in defense, can't be destroyed by battle. And then if this thing does battle, you can detach material to bounce the monster that battles with it back. And then the last things I play, rank 5s, I play an Artifact Durendal and a Tyrus Keeper of Genesis. They're fairies. I kind of like to keep my decks thematic. Are these cards that good? No, you can run whatever you want. And the only way you're really getting these out is if you summon 2 Uranuses, and chances of that happening is probably slim to none. So you could probably do whatever you want with these 2 cards. But yeah, that's it for the deck. Agents is really fun. I highly recommend it, and like I said, I'm just happy that I don't have to play Lynx, not that I ever was going to, but the deck is kind of back to being what it should be. A really fun deck. So anyway, yeah, 20 minutes. Have a good day.